ZIDANE entered a luxurious restaurant wearing a simple hoodie, jeans, and sneakers. To those who didn't recognize him, he looked like any ordinary customer. The place, known for its elegance and exclusive clientele, was adorned with sparkling chandeliers and polished marble floors. As he sat down, a waitress approached him with a sharp tone, questioning if he could even afford to eat there. Her words echoed through the room, drawing the attention of other diners. ZIDANE remained calm and indifferent as the tension in the room grew. Without losing his composure, he looked up and replied, "I'm here to eat, like everyone else." The room went silent as the waitress hesitated. For a moment, no one knew what would happen next. ZIDANE, with quiet confidence, simply waited. Behind the scenes, the restaurant operated like clockwork, with waiters gliding between tables carrying elegant dishes and crafted cocktails. The manager, a man with salt and pepper hair, watched everything like a hawk, ensuring flawless service. Among the staff was Claire, a sharp-tongued woman in her 30s who had worked there for 5 years. She was known for her wit and high standards, and prided herself on being able to read customers at a glance. Claire could instantly spot high spenders and was quick to ignore anyone who didn't match the restaurant's image. To her, every interaction was a silent game of judgment. When ZIDANE walked through the glass doors, his appearance clashed starkly with the restaurant's refined atmosphere. Wearing a black hoodie, jeans, and worn sneakers, he didn't resemble the usual clientele. Yet ZIDANE moved with calm assurance, scanning the room with sharp eyes. Claire, however, immediately dismissed him based on appearance. She watched him approach the hostess, raising an eyebrow. "What is he doing here?" she muttered. To her, he looked like someone lost, lured by the lights and luxury. Sophie, the young hostess, politely greeted him, though she appeared unsure. ZIDANE smiled warmly. "A table for one, please," he said, his voice calm and firm. From a distance, Claire shook her head, whispering sarcastically to a colleague. Sophie hesitated briefly, then guided ZIDANE to a table in the center of the room. The table, elegant with white linen and flickering candles, stood out in its prominence. As ZIDANE sat, other guests turned to look, some curious, others clearly judgmental. Claire watched with a half-smile. "Let's see how long he lasts," she murmured. She then walked over to his table, her heels echoing sharply on the marble floor. Holding a black notebook and pen, Claire approached with a practiced, professional expression. Her eyes narrowed at his relaxed hoodie and sneakers, a stark contrast to the sea of designer suits and gowns. ZIDANE, sitting quietly, ignored the stares around him. Claire greeted him with a soft, yet condescending tone. "Good evening," she said. "Are you sure you're in the right place?" ZIDANE looked up with a calm smile. "Yes, I'm sure. I've heard good things about this restaurant." Claire replied with a skeptical smile. "We serve refined cuisine," she emphasized. "The menu may be different from what you're used to." "I like different," ZIDANE answered. Claire, smiling tightly, opened her notebook. "Very well. A drink to start." ZIDANE scanned the menu and answered, "Water, please." "Sparkling water?" she asked mockingly. "Yes," he confirmed calmly. Claire turned away, muttering to herself with growing irritation. She had seen people like him before, those who wandered into Celeste without understanding its level. To her, ZIDANE was just another outsider who wouldn't be able to pay. Meanwhile, ZIDANE quietly observed the restaurant's environment. The scene felt perfectly choreographed, like a performance. But underneath, he sensed the tension, the silent judgments, and the invisible social codes. When Claire returned, she set the water down with a bit too much force. "Here," she said flatly. "Have you chosen, or do you need help with the menu?" ZIDANE replied gently, "I'll take a few more minutes." Claire walked away stiffly. Nearby, a couple whispered while watching. "What's he doing here?" asked the husband. "I don't know," his wife replied. But Claire didn't look too pleased. Across the room, a young woman in a black dress observed with interest. Sipping her wine, she commented to her companion, "He doesn't look uncomfortable. It's like he's testing her." Back at the bar, Claire vented to Clement, a colleague. "Can you believe this?" she said sharply. "He's clueless and wasting my time." Clement cautiously replied, "Maybe he just wants to enjoy the experience." "Experience?" Claire scoffed. "He'll ask for the cheapest thing on the menu." Unbothered by the whispers, ZIDANE continued to observe the ambience, unfazed. Claire didn't realize he was mentally noting every word, every move, every hint of disdain. She returned again, poised and ready to escalate. "Have you chosen, sir?" she asked sweetly but insincerely. Zidane tapped the menu lightly and smiled. "Yes, I'll have the truffle risotto. And for dessert, what do you recommend?" Claire raised an eyebrow. "The soufflé is popular, though it may be a little extravagant," she said pointedly. "I'll take the soufflé," Zidane said, ignoring the jab. Claire paused, then forced a smile. "Very well," she said through clenched teeth, turning to walk away. But she couldn't resist a final blow. Bending slightly, her voice low but audible, she added, "Just so you know, the soufflé is 85 euros. Not everyone can afford it." The room stirred with murmurs. Claire waited for discomfort, but Zidane smiled calmly and said, "It sounds perfect. Thank you." His serene answer threw her off. She expected hesitation or a change of order. Instead, he remained unshaken. Claire turned sharply and stormed off. A nearby couple exchanged glances. "Why is she so rude to him?" the man asked. "He hasn't done anything. She's judging him for his clothes," the woman replied. "He's handling it better than I would," she added. As the evening wore on, Claire grew more irritated. She had served many high-status clients, but this one man, quiet and unfazed, was getting under her skin. When she brought out the risotto, she slammed the plate down too hard. She then glanced at Zidane's glass. "Do you want more water?" she asked with artificial sweetness. "That would be perfect, thank you," Zidane replied. Claire grabbed the carafe and began to pour, but let it spill slightly on the table near his arm. Gasps rose around them as water spread across the table. "Oh, I'm so sorry," she said with feigned surprise, though her smirk gave her away. Zidane calmly wiped the spill. "It's nothing," he said. Murmurs grew louder among the guests. "It wasn't an accident," a woman whispered. "She did it on purpose." Her husband added, "Who does she think she is to treat a customer like that? It's disgraceful." Claire, sensing the shifting mood, lost her smile and avoided eye contact. Her confidence wavered. Zidane, still calm, amplified the awkwardness with his composed demeanor. When she brought out the dessert, her movements were stiff and exaggerated. "Enjoy your meal," she said, her voice tight. Zidane tasted the soufflé, wiped his mouth, and then said firmly, "I'd like to speak to the manager." Claire froze in panic. "To the manager?" she stammered. "Yes," Zidane said, locking eyes with her. "I'd like to talk." The restaurant went silent. Claire rushed off to fetch the manager. A few moments later, a tall man in a pristine suit approached with a smile that barely hid his nervousness. "Good evening, sir. How may I help you?" he asked. Zidane stood, extended his hand, and said, "Good evening. I'm Zidane, and I believe we need to talk about the service here." The manager's face turned pale upon hearing Zidane's name. A murmur spread through the room as customers processed the revelation. "Zidane?" whispered one. "The Zidane?" added another in astonishment. The weight of the truth hit like a bomb. Claire, who wasn't far away, felt her blood rush to her head. Her legs trembled as she finally realized who she had been dealing with for the past hour. A heavy silence fell across the restaurant. Claire, who had relied on her sense of superiority all evening, felt her confidence collapse entirely. Her mocking gestures, her condescending remarks, and the incident with the spilled water all came flooding back. Guests began whispering more fervently. "It's Zidane," some said, their eyes filled with disbelief and awe. The manager, visibly embarrassed, extended a hand. "Mr. Zidane, I had no idea you were dining with us tonight. Please accept our apologies for anything that did not meet our standards." Zidane shook his hand, his unwavering gaze sweeping across the room, taking in the stunned faces of the guests and the shaken figure of Claire. "Thank you," he said calmly, "but I think we need to talk about what happened tonight." His calm, measured words echoed in the room. Guests leaned forward, captivated by the unfolding moment. Claire stood frozen in discomfort as the manager hesitated before asking, "Is there something specific you'd like to report?" Zidane nodded. "I believe your staff would benefit from training to treat every customer with respect, regardless of appearance." Whispers grew louder as Claire, trapped in the consequences of her own actions, relived every condescending moment. "You're absolutely right, Mr. Zidane," the manager said uncomfortably. "We'll rectify this immediately." Zidane added, "It's not just about me. Every customer deserves dignity. That's the foundation of a successful business. He gave Claire a final look. We all make mistakes. What matters is whether we learn from them. His words lingered in Claire's mind, but her moment of respite was short-lived. The manager turned to her. Claire, we'll need to speak in my office after this, he said firmly. Claire opened her mouth, but no words came. She stammered, searching for an excuse, but found none. She was crushed by the gravity of the moment. Yes, sir, she finally managed, her voice trembling. As she walked toward the back of the restaurant, she felt every eye on her. Whispers floated through the air like ghosts. How could she behave like that? Said one voice. She didn't even recognize him. What a mess, added another. Each step toward the manager's office felt like an eternity, the restaurant walls closing in on her. Later that evening, after the restaurant had emptied and the staff began cleaning, the manager summoned Claire to his office. The silence was heavy, broken only by distant clinks of dishes from the kitchen. Her heart pounded as she approached the office door. It felt like a door to redemption. Her mind swirled with fear, regret, and uncertainty. How had she let her bitterness consume her so completely? She stepped inside hesitantly, head bowed, hands trembling. The manager sat behind his desk, his expression a mix of disappointment and determination. ZIDANE was seated beside him, calm and composed, only deepening Claire's anxiety. She felt small, burdened by her mistakes. The manager crossed his arms and addressed her seriously. Your behavior tonight was unacceptable. I've seen this kind of conduct before, but tonight it crossed the line. Respect is fundamental here, and you completely disregarded that. Claire looked up, eyes already filling with tears. She wanted to explain, to defend herself, but the memory of her harsh remarks and deliberate actions silenced her. She couldn't deny the truth. The manager took a deep breath. This isn't just about respect for a customer. ZIDANE, the owner, has been informed. Claire's eyes widened. ZIDANE? The ZIDANE. Yes, the manager replied. He saw everything. He had witnessed all the interactions, including how she had treated him. The words struck her like a bolt of lightning. She'd heard of ZIDANE, of course, but realizing he was directly involved filled her with dread. She suddenly felt as though the entire world she operated in had collapsed. She bit her lip in shame. I'm sorry. I didn't know, she muttered. The manager sighed. That's the point, Claire. We don't just owe an apology to a customer, we owe one to ZIDANE. He expects excellence, and that kind of attitude is unacceptable in his establishment. The pressure mounted. She now realized ZIDANE was not only a guest but the owner, the one who had created this place and its values. ZIDANE leaned forward slightly, his gaze sharp but not cruel. Judging based on appearances is dangerous, he said. You never know who someone is or what they're going through. Tonight wasn't just about me. It was about the principle of treating everyone with equal respect. His words struck Claire deeply. A lump formed in her throat as she fought back her emotions. I'm so sorry, she whispered. It won't happen again. I don't know how to make this right. The manager exchanged a glance with ZIDANE. His tone stayed serious, though his expression softened. Claire, I'm afraid we have no choice but to let you go. It's not just about tonight. It's about ensuring that every customer feels respected and welcome. Claire felt her heart drop. Her worst fear had come true. Tears streamed down her face as she looked down, unable to meet their eyes. Please, she said, voice cracking. I need this job. My daughter, she's sick. I'm all she has. ZIDANE's expression shifted. A flicker of concern crossed his face. His tone softened, though his gaze remained steady. Your daughter? He asked gently. Claire nodded, wiping her tears. She's only 8. She has cancer, and the treatments are expensive. I've been trying to manage everything since my husband died last year, but it's been so hard. Her voice broke as she poured out her story. I work double shifts, sometimes even cleaning jobs on my days off. I'm trying to be strong for her, but I'm exhausted. If I lose this job, she couldn't finish. Tears flowed freely, and she made no effort to stop them. The room fell silent. ZIDANE sat back, absorbing the weight of what he had just heard. The manager, visibly torn, spoke with hesitation. Mr. ZIDANE, I've known Claire for years. Her behavior tonight was unacceptable, but she's under incredible stress. She never talks about it, but we've all seen what she's going through. ZIDANE slowly shook his head, pensive. He took a deep breath and looked at Claire. Why didn't you say anything? It's not your problem, she murmured. I thought I could handle it alone. The silence grew heavy as ZIDANE reflected on her words, her struggle, her pain, her fight to keep her daughter alive. He had heard many stories of hardship, but something about Claire's story struck a deep chord. He folded his hands, his gaze distant, lost in thought. Finally, he spoke again, softer now, but firm. I understand that you're going through a lot, he said, but that doesn't excuse your behavior. It's precisely because life is difficult that we must treat each other with kindness. That's what builds resilience, not taking our pain out on others. Claire nodded weakly. You're right. I let my pain turn into bitterness. I took it out on you and others. I don't deserve forgiveness. But it kills me, she said, her voice breaking. ZIDANE looked at her, then turned to the manager. Let's give her a second chance. The manager asked, if you think that's the best decision? ZIDANE turned back to Claire. I'll cover your daughter's medical expenses, but you'll need to undergo customer service training and show that you've learned from this experience. Claire, overwhelmed with emotion, could only reply, Thank you. I won't disappoint you. ZIDANE concluded, Everyone makes mistakes. What matters is learning from them. Don't waste this chance. The manager added, We'll arrange the training and provide support. Thank you for your generosity. ZIDANE nodded, stood up, and adjusted his jacket. He gave Claire one last look. This is your chance to show who you really are. Make the most of it. As he headed toward the door, Claire called out softly, her voice trembling. Mr. ZIDANE, thank you for everything. ZIDANE paused and turned slightly. Take care of your daughter, he said simply, before walking out into the quiet night. News of the evening's events spread quickly throughout the city. Guests shared the story with friends, emphasizing the lessons ZIDANE had taught. The importance of treating everyone with dignity, no matter their appearance or status. Some even posted it on social media, and soon, the story went viral.